Are the old world giants still asleep in stasis chambers? Have you ever felt that the world is much older and far more mysterious than our history books let on? That there are chapters of our own story that have been torn out and hidden, pages containing truths so profound they would shatter our view of reality? We're taught that giants are just myths, colossal beings from folklore like the Titans, the Nephilim, or the Jotun, written off as pure fantasy. But what if they weren't just stories? What if the greatest secret in human history isn't buried in the past, but is sleeping, just waiting to awaken? For decades, whispers from supposed insiders and new interpretations of ancient texts have painted an incredible picture. A world dotted with secret, high-tech chambers built by a lost, advanced civilization. And inside these chambers, protected by technology we can barely imagine, the last of the old world giants lie in a state of suspended animation. Today, we're not just asking if these chambers exist. We're on an investigation, exploring the so-called evidence that believers claim suggests their inhabitants are starting to stir. We'll look at the tales of whistleblowers, dig into old newspaper archives, and confront what some call the greatest cover-up in modern history. What would their prophesied return mean for us? Join us as we unpack one of the most compelling conspiracy theories of our time. Section 1. The Stasis Chamber Theory, a world in waiting. At the heart of this wild theory is a concept that feels like it's straight out of science fiction, yet one that proponents swear is ancient fact: the stasis chamber. The idea is that an incredibly advanced civilization, maybe pre-flood, maybe even extraterrestrial, had the technology to literally stop time. They created pods or chambers that could put a living being into suspended animation, preserving them perfectly for thousands of years. According to the lore, these weren't just fancy coffins. They were sophisticated devices, often described as being made of crystal or some unknown metal, sometimes filled with a glowing, jelly-like liquid. This technology supposedly created a zero-time bubble around the person inside, stopping all biological processes. 30,000 years might pass outside, but for the being within, it would feel like 30 minutes. So why would they do this? The story suggests it was a desperate last resort. Facing a global cataclysm, a great flood, a pole shift, or even a cosmic war, this ancient race put their most important people into safekeeping. And who was more important than their ruling class, the giants? These aren't the slow, clumsy brutes from fairy tales. Proponents claim these were highly intelligent, sophisticated beings, standing anywhere from 10 to 30 feet tall. They were the master architects, the kings, the demigods of the old world. They willingly entered stasis, planning to reawaken in a future age to rebuild their civilization and reclaim the earth. Believers even point to a global map of where these chambers are supposedly hidden, deep inside mountain ranges, buried under desert sands, and sunk in the darkest parts of our oceans. From the Bucegi Mountains in Romania to the frozen wastes of Antarctica, these giants are said to be waiting. The question is, waiting for what? Section 2. The Whistleblower's Testimony. The Corey Goode Revelations. For any conspiracy theory to really take off, it needs a voice from the inside. In the world of stasis giants, that voice often belongs to Corey Goode. Goode appeared in the 2010s, claiming to be a secret space program whistleblower who saw classified information during his alleged service from 1987 to 2007. According to his testimony, in his downtime he was given smart glass pads, devices like tablets, that were loaded with hidden history and classified intel. It was here, he says, that he first learned about the ancient builder race and the stasis chambers they left behind. Goode described seeing detailed reports and even images of perfectly preserved giants sleeping inside crystal pods. He claimed these beings weren't dead, but just waiting for the chambers to be turned on. Goode's story is incredibly detailed. He talks about different kinds of giants, from 12-foot-tall red-haired warriors to 30-foot-tall royal beings with elongated skulls. He says these chambers are still active, powered by a strange crystal energy source that keeps the stasis field running. He even claims that modern governments have found some of these chambers, sparking a frantic, secret race to understand the technology and the beings themselves. But here's the crucial part. Corey Goode's fantastic claims are completely unverified. He has never provided a single piece of physical evidence to support his stories. Mainstream scientists and historians do not consider his testimony credible. In fact, many investigative journalists and even former colleagues have called him out, suggesting his stories are pure fiction. His accounts, while captivating, are just his story, with nothing to back them up. Section 3. The American West. A giant's graveyard? The idea of sleeping giants isn't new. Long before modern whistleblowers, stories were making the rounds, especially in the American West, a landscape practically built for mystery and discovery. Two places are central to this part of the legend: the Grand Canyon and a mysterious cave in Nevada. First, let's go back to April 5, 1909. On that day, the Arizona Gazette published a sensational front-page story with the headline, "Explorations in Grand Canyon." The article detailed the supposed discoveries of an explorer named G.E. Kincaid, who said he'd found a huge, man-made citadel carved into the canyon walls. According to the story, Kincaid, who was allegedly funded by the Smithsonian Institution, found a cave full of artifacts of an Oriental or Egyptian nature, along with tablets covered in hieroglyphics, copper weapons, and, most shocking of all, rows of mummified giants. The story was a bombshell, suggesting a civilization far older and more advanced than anyone thought had once lived in America. For believers in the stasis theory, this wasn't just a tomb, it was a potential jackpot of dormant beings. But this is where the trail goes ice cold. Despite the explosive report, the Smithsonian Institution has repeatedly denied any involvement. They say they have no records of a Professor S.A. Jordan or a G.E. Kincaid, the two men named in the article. No such artifacts have ever been found, and no official dig of this citadel ever happened. Researchers who have looked into the story concluded the 1909 article was just a newspaper hoax, a common trick back then to sell more papers. Today, the story lives on mostly in conspiracy circles, but there's no evidence it was ever real. A little further north, in Nevada, we find the legend of Lovelock Cave. The oral history of the local Paiute tribe tells of a war against a race of savage, red-haired giants called the Sitka. The legend says the Paiutes trapped the last of these giants in a cave and set a huge fire at the entrance, wiping them out. When archaeologists started digging in Lovelock Cave in the early 1900s, they did find thousands of artifacts, including a sandal said to be an incredible 15 inches long and what looked like red-haired mummies. For giant theory proponents, this was it, proof. However, the scientific analysis tells a different story. While some skeletons were taller than average, none were truly giant. Anthropologists explain that hair can turn reddish over time when buried due to chemicals in the soil and the breakdown of pigments. And those giant skeletons that were supposedly found? They've never been presented for official study, and many claims seem to have been exaggerated over the years. The story of Lovelock Cave, much like the Grand Canyon tale, seems to be a case where fascinating legends and misinterpreted discoveries were spun into a myth that the physical evidence just doesn't support. Section 4. The Global Hunt. The Bucegi Mountain Anomaly. The hunt for sleeping giants isn't just an American thing. In 2003, a story came out of Romania that has become a pillar of the stasis chamber theory. This tale is all about the Bucegi Mountains, part of the stunning Carpathians. According to a story made famous in books by a Romanian author, a Pentagon satellite using ground-penetrating radar found a strange anomaly deep inside the mountains in 2002. It wasn't a natural cave, but an artificial structure, protected by two powerful energy shields. The story goes that a joint Romanian-American team managed to break through the first shield, which led them to a grand gallery and a projection room. Inside this room, they supposedly found holographic tech that could display the entire history of Earth, advanced DNA mixing devices, and, most importantly, tunnels leading to a secret world under the Gobi Desert and even to Antarctica. The narrative claims this discovery was so huge that it got the attention of the world's most powerful secret societies, starting a geopolitical battle to control the information. While the Buchegi mountain legend doesn't always say they found giants inside the chamber, it's often tied to the larger theory as proof of the advanced technology needed for stasis. But just like the other stories, when you step outside the world of conspiracy books, the evidence disappears. There has never been any official confirmation from the Romanian or US governments about this kind of discovery. No scientific papers have been published, and no proof has ever been shown to the public. The whole story comes from a single source and has been spread on internet forums and in esoteric books, becoming a rumor that's never been backed up. The Buchegi Mountains are a real place and a popular hiking spot, but the tale of a secret base inside remains modern folklore. We're exploring a rabbit hole of myth, alleged cover-ups, and forbidden history. The claims are unbelievable, and the official explanations are firm. What do you think is really going on? Are these just tall tales, or is there a fire somewhere beneath all this smoke? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you're enjoying this investigation, be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss what's next. Section 5. The Smithsonian Cover-Up. Hiding the bones of history? You can't talk about giants in America without addressing the elephant in the room, the Smithsonian Institution. According to a persistent conspiracy theory, the Smithsonian isn't a neutral museum of history, but an active player in a massive cover-up to systematically destroy evidence of giants and protect the mainstream story of human evolution. The story, which pops up endlessly on social media, often uses a fake headline claiming the U.S. Supreme Court forced the Smithsonian to release classified records proving they had destroyed thousands of giant human skeletons in the early 1900s. The theory goes that back in the 19th and early 20th centuries, when farmers were constantly reporting huge skeletons in Native American burial mounds, the Smithsonian would send agents to collect the bones. Once collected, the bones would disappear into the archives, never to be seen again. Destroyed, they say, to protect Darwin's theory of evolution. It's a powerful accusation, but it falls apart fast. The Associated Press, Reuters, Snopes, and other fact-checkers have thoroughly debunked this. The story started on a satire website called World News Daily Report in 2014, a site that openly states its content is fiction. There was no Supreme Court case. It just never happened. So where did all the stories of giant skeletons from the 1800s come from? Historians point to a few things. Many reports were simply hoaxes to sell newspapers. In other cases, amateur diggers who didn't know much about anatomy mistook the bones of big prehistoric animals like mammoths for human bones. And sometimes, people just wanted to believe, leading them to exaggerate the size of normal human remains. The Smithsonian's actual role wasn't to hide giants, but to professionally debunk false claims and build a scientifically accurate history. The idea of them destroying thousands of skeletons is a modern myth, born from a joke article that went viral. Section 6. Prophecy and the Great Awakening. Science fact versus science fiction. If we play with the idea that these giants are real and just asleep, the next logical question is, when will they wake up? This is where the theory gets tangled up with ancient prophecy. Some people point to religious texts, like the Book of Revelation. They wonder if the prophecy of locusts rising from a bottomless pit in the end times isn't about insects, but a coded message about giants coming out of their underground chambers. Others turn to Hopi prophecy, which talks about the blue star Kachina, a sign in the heavens that will mark the end of this world and the return of ancient beings. Proponents of the stasis theory suggest that a specific celestial event, a massive solar flare, or even a deliberate signal from their creators, could trigger the awakening. This is where we have to draw a clear line between speculation and reality. Interestingly, suspended animation isn't total fiction. NASA is actually funding research into something called torpor. It's a state like hibernation in animals, where an astronaut's metabolism is slowed way down. The goal is to put crews into a deep sleep for long space missions, like a trip to Mars, to save on resources and protect them from cosmic radiation. Companies like SpaceWorks are already designing pods that could keep a person in this state for weeks. However, that's where the similarity ends. NASA's research is about medically induced cooling for relatively short periods. It's a million miles away from the zero-time stasis bubbles of the conspiracy. The kind of physics needed to actually stop time for a person, as the lore describes, is something we don't even know is possible. While science is exploring hibernation for space travel, there is zero evidence connecting this modern research to some lost ancient technology or to sleeping giants. The ideas remain on two totally separate tracks, one of scientific exploration and the other of myth. Conclusion. Our journey has taken us from the wild claims of secret space program whistleblowers to the dusty archives of old newspapers, from the canyons of Arizona to the mountains of Romania. We've encountered a grand, compelling story of a lost race of giants, kept safe for ages in technological marvels, just waiting for a prophesied awakening. We've also seen that at every single turn, these extraordinary claims are met with a complete lack of extraordinary evidence. Corey Goode's insider testimony is still just his word. The legendary discoveries in the Grand Canyon and Lovelock Cave seem to be based on a newspaper hoax and misunderstood archaeology. The Smithsonian cover-up is a proven fake that started on a satire site. And the incredible story from the Buchegi Mountains is a rumor with no official confirmation. What we're left with is a powerful modern myth. It's a story woven from our natural curiosity about the past, our distrust of authority, and our deep-seated hope that there's something more to this world than what we see. The legend of sleeping giants is a testament to the incredible power of storytelling. But until the day comes when one of these chambers is open for the whole world to see, the story of old-world giants in stasis chambers will remain just that, a fascinating story. It's a mystery that exists not in the rocks and caves of our planet, but in the boundless world of our imagination. The real question, then, isn't whether the giants are asleep, but why, in this day and age, we're so captivated by the idea of them waking up. What did we miss? Are there other stasis chamber locations or giant encounters you think we should investigate? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, and remember to always question what you're told.